Well, welcome everyone. It's, welcome to this very exciting panel discussion. It's nothing new that art has always been impacted by technology, but at the same time, it has also been a critical tool to reflect, upon the society we live in. Because art, all in all, is embedded, in society. As technology continues to evolve, we're seeing new tools and new mediums for artists, pushing the boundaries of creativity, but also having an impact, on the agents involved in the art industry. This is nothing new. With the emergence of photography, as you can imagine, this also was a big trigger for creative expression. From digital canvases to virtual galleries, online, marketplaces, technology has seamlessly integrated into the artistic journey, opening unprecedented possibilities for both artists, audiences, and the traditional agents that were involved in the art field, and even creating new ones, often blurring the boundaries between those agents and their roles. So today, we're here, very honored, and welcoming these distinguished panels with us. And we're going to be exploring precisely how technology is really reshaping the art world. We have a myriad of different roles within that field. We have from, Daniel Canogar, who is a very well-renowned new media artist, to Sophie Neuendorf, who is in the leadership of an established online platform, ArtNet, probably you all know. Diego Iglesias, he's the founder of a digital arts festival here in Madrid, among many other things. And what they do is they bring digital art to the city in very different venues. To Antonia Glinina, who has launched a startup that basically empowers anyone with the tools to pursue its artistic or creative ambitions. So, join us in this really fascinating panel on the intersection of creativity and technology. If that's okay, we're going to start from a vision more from the art market and what possibilities are unfolding there to end up with a more, the more creative version or the more artistic vision into things. It would be wonderful, I think, if our panelists not only share their thoughts, but as they're really, all of them represent very different, projects and endeavors, to listen also what they're doing from their own, companies or startups. So if that's okay, we're going to start with Sophie. And the question that goes to Sophie is, focusing on the more transactional side of the art world, what technologies are you implementing at ArtNet or even foresee in the future?
Thank you, Catalina. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much. I'd like to pick up on that word you mentioned earlier, seamlessly, because when ArtNet was founded over 35 years ago, art and technology, I think seamless would not be the word to describe it. So when we founded, the company was founded as a company that would bring data and transparency to the art market, essentially. But 35 years ago, there was no such thing as the World Wide Web. So in fact, we sent that data out per fax. And I'm mentioning this so you can have sort of an idea of how the art market has evolved in a very short time. Also, the idea that art and technology can go hand in hand in terms of transactions is not something that was obvious at the time. So 35 years ago, when we founded the data segment of ArtNet, which would evolve into a product that would create or enable art to be used as an asset class, that was definitely not the idea. Transparency was the backbone of this idea, because at the time, if you were buying, let's say, everybody knows Picasso, then you would not know for how much, was the reasonable price for this Picasso. And this data that we put online enabled you to actually come to an understanding of whether you're buying an artwork at a reasonable price, where it had been before, and what you can expect to sell it for in the future, which brings me to the transactional side. We launched online auctions in around 2000, and the idea was to make the art market more easy and efficient. And obviously, you think about it, it's much easier to browse online, view to scale, view in room, and then click per buy now and buy that artwork and get it shipped to your home, So it's a no-brainer, right? So at the time when we thought about this, Sotheby's actually thought about the same thing. And for those of you who are not so initiated in the art market, Sotheby's is one of the leading auction platforms worldwide. And now the question is, which of us succeeded? And I have to say, at the time, no, none of us did. So when we launched, after a few months, we had to shutter because, and I think many of you will recognize this, even though the technological advancement and the idea was good, the audience wasn't ready for it. And this is something I think you'll find as a technological sort of entrepreneurial company and also as an artist maybe, is that people are comfortable with what they know. And at the time, they didn't know online auctions and they didn't trust online auctions. And so we had to shutter. And then in 2008, we again launched online auctions more successfully, and it kind of grew slowly up into 2020. And obviously, as you all now know, everything shuttered, everything sort of shut down. There was no in-person transactions. I don't have to go over this, we all lived it. And so obviously, what was a 6% share of art market transactions in 2019 jumped to over 20% of online transactions nearly overnight. And so in terms of transactions since then, what we've been working on, you were asking what technologies we use. What we did essentially since that time is work on the backbone structure of ArtNet. So not the front end sort of gimmicky usability, which is now coming, but basically taking all that old technology and creating a new tech stack, which was really, really time intensive and actually took us about 3 years to revamp the whole website and bring it up to date. And then we started with the front end, and this is what we're still working on now. And our original products, which was the data side of the of ArtNet, and also the transactional, the auction site, were completely revamped only in the past year. And I think right now, and I know we've only got a few minutes, so in terms of technology, what we're really working on, apart from the front end structure of the website, is, well, security. Because I'm sure as many of you know, apart from Sotheby's, there's Christie's, and Christie's actually suffered an immense hack not too long ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and actually their website was down for about 10 days. And that data, client data, confidential passport data, gender, credit card, etc., was hacked by, Ransom Hub, I think is the, if I'm not completely mistaken. And in any case, this data apparently has now been sold to the highest bidder. So for us, the main priority in a world that's becoming, thankfully, more digital is security, and this is what we're working on predominantly now in order to make or create an online space for artists and galleries to transact on that's safe and secure. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see, from when, an initial platform where basically was about sharing information, it became later a marketplace. So now, of course, in ArtNet, you can get this digital art piece that arrives to your house. So bridging from that, I would like to take my next question to Diego, because he has this, he's launched this digital art festival, and the question would be around how can we contextualize this digital art that you might decide on acquiring in the physical realm, and do you even think, Diego, this is important to do so?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm here. That's what my work is based on. Yeah, I think. Maybe we collectively need to also start thinking what the role of art is for a society or for the societies that we are currently here, right? And I think this is a really important question that we have to keep going back to this very essential idea of what is art for, or what art provides for society. And in that sense, I think the overall way of thinking of a contemporary artist is to reflect on the contemporary problems of the today, right? And to do so, we have to understand the problems of today. And of course, there's many problems, but one of them is digital, or maybe not a problem, but a new reality that we are facing, and that as society we're all being somehow traversed through digital medium. And that's why I believe digital art has a really important role here. And I think, as you were mentioning before, Sophie, digital art, or art and digital, or art and technology, almost seemed opponents in concepts, because art is traditionally understood as these unique objects that have a very unique value because they are unique somehow, whereas digital medium or technology is just the opposite. It has a lot to do about multiplication, multiplicity, diversification, and kind of it's very far away from this idea of the unique object somehow. So I think that's one of the reasons probably why the art market or the art world in general is kind of having trouble accommodating itself to digital art, because it breaks with all of the rules that were previously here. And we don't come from the market part of the art world. We come from the festival part, which for us is completely different because we are a non-profit. We don't sell artworks. I mean, it's fantastic to be able to collect pieces and to have this intimate relationship with an artwork in your house. I think if anyone has a chance, please buy something because it can really change your life. But our goal is to reach a further audience, and to be able to do so, for us, the city is the only possible place to be able to exhibit art. I think exhibiting art in a city or in an urban context or in a public space is essential. It's something that's really fundamental and that should be a common fight in the art world. And of course, in Spain, this has been very problematic because we all know that all the roundabouts are filled with quite questionable sculptures, but I'm confident that we can find other ways in doing this. And that's the goal that we do in the festival, try to use these huge devices as the commercial screens or LED huge screens that are around Madrid and other cities in the world, and kind of implement digital artworks there. And I think in this very simple gesture, almost simple gesture, of course, extremely complex in its management, but that way we can create these kind of glitches in the city to establish a more meaningful connection with our built environment, but also with that digital environment that we are building, and that more and more it's becoming more tangible and more real in our physical lives. So I think that would be the ultimate goal for me, to establish these meaningful connections between art pieces that are most of the time kept on our phones or these small devices, but whenever we can share them in a bigger space and establish a meaningful connection with a wider audience, I think that's where the magic of art really happens.
Very interesting. I mean, as you probably can see, I mean, the digital tools are bringing a lot of opportunities for artists to create new things because it's a new media, but it's also unfolding plenty of opportunities for the different agents that run around, the art scenes, and there are definitely new ways, new projects like the thing that Diego is doing. So there is a plenty of entrepreneurial room, let's say, within the arts ecosystem that before this, the breaking of technology in such a way maybe did not exist. And I think that helps me bridge very well to my question to Antonia, because she's as a startup that I think would be interesting if she shares a bit with us, because she's definitely bringing to the table some of, maybe the benefits of what those digital tools can also bring to the table to empower us as artists. So if you could basically share a bit, what the art self is doing in that regard.
I would like to start with what the whole digitalization of art industry is going for, and art self is a part of it, and how it will look like the future of art industry. First of all, I think it's total democratization of art. It's just what Diego told us about the mass market exhibiting, and the whole art industry as well as creative economy become much more inclusive now. It's such a good tendency, I think, and thanks to generative design tools, social media revolution, and the whole technologies that help creators to connect with their audience, to create together and to share their art with them. I launched my first fashion company when I was 18, so I even didn't have education yet. But I have a lot of ideas. And I've been dreaming that one day the creative idea will be the boss. But meanwhile, to create some stuff, you have to spend years studying in universities, to spend a lot of money to launch your first collection, or to make a portfolio as an artist, or to make a prototypes, to test, to try your hypotheses. And it really takes years. You could even lose your inspiration while you're doing it. And so I really understand by myself how hard it is, and that's why we launch in ArtSelf. Because ArtSelf, it's a ecosystem tool for creative economy that helps creators, makers, artists, and art entrepreneurs to create with no boundaries. It makes the whole industry much more inclusive, to create in easier way, faster way, because it's based on algorithm, on AI, who an friend's arm who help you to create. You don't need anymore to waste your time in studying or making money to invest in your art.
I think it would be good if you tell them exactly so that the audience could picture the kind of things you're
Just
able to do with your...
Actually, it's on me. Also, we have like models here who could show it. If you go to Artself, you could create like, yeah, show guys what you can do. So you could create like some unique stuff. For example, you want to go to the digital Halloween as a Catwoman, but you have seen the Barbie movie and you want to be like a pink Catwoman. And then on the digital, like you have followers, you have fans who liked it, and you understand that you want to make this creative outfit that look for example, to go to Burning Man or something else. So you push just one button in an application and you got it in a physical. It's what I want to mention as well as one of the biggest trends, like democratization. It's also like the art become digital. Like all these new generations, Z and late Y, they create both in digital and physical. That's why I think for Sophie, like now it's a time when the ArtNet becomes so popular, because now people understand and now they like appreciate the digital way of creating and buying. And for many of Zoomers, it's like normal to create like personal skins in the games, as well as they like bio-create the apparels in the real life. So it's a total digitalization of the industry. And the third trend, I think, which we also follow as Artself, it's a co-creation. Most of them like to be a part of something, like to create together, to have this together mindset and like to share the ideas, and the technologies like give such a brilliant chance now to do it. So like I honestly believe that like in the future, not the skills or money or years in university, but the talent will be the king and the creative idea will be the boss. And I think it's a really, really good time to become a creator, to become an artist now.
I think we'll have to go into ourselves and really try to build something.
Yeah,
Maybe some suit for Fortnite?
Sorry?
You can create also for video games, right?
Yeah. But we are early stage, we're testing, but soon it will be on the market. Anyway, you could try it in our booth. And so.
I invite you all to join the booth of Antonia so you get to understand a bit better what they're doing there. So, well, Daniel, I mean, you're an artist, you're a new media artist, and it's very important for us to understand what you think about all this. You know, what is the vision of a native digital artist? And maybe it would be wonderful if you could share with us on two different thoughts. What technology can bring to art, but even more importantly, what art can bring to technology?
Two questions that are very good and interesting questions. Thank you, Catalina, for the invitation to be here. I think I'd like to make 2 points. First point, art and technology have only been artificially separated recently in terms of a kind of a history of art history. Perhaps we could go back to the Romantic movement in the 19th century, where art started being seen as a refuge, as an escape from the world of industry, from the world of the machine. Before that, there wasn't that kind of differentiation. If we go back to the Renaissance studios in Florence, they were packed with engineers and architects and painters and sculptors, and they worked collaboratively, and there wasn't that kind of separation between art and technology. Artists, in a way, were developing technologies. They were using them to produce, to distribute, to market even their projects. So it's kind of an artificial separation. Maybe 2 or 3 examples. We never think of a paintbrush as a piece of technology, yet it was something that was developed over the centuries and improved. And slowly certain kinds of hairs were better than others. It's a technology that understands the movement of a wrist to that kind of subtle gestures that you can apply on a canvas. Another example of a technology, the invention of oil paint and the invention of old paint put in aluminum tubes. What happened when that was created? That was a piece of technology that allowed painters to move out into the field, and thus the Impressionist movement was created. It was born because of that freedom of being able to leave the confines of the studio space. That's another piece of technology that was developed for artists, by artists, and they changed art history. And many other examples. Cotton canvases was an incredible innovation. We could go on and on and on. So that separation is something that is artificial. And I think it's important to understand how artists have always been very involved in technological innovation. Of course, now we're specifically thinking of digital technology. And I'd like to make my second point. And my second point is, I think as artists, we can obviously use technology to distribute our work, to use web pages and social media. But my approach as an artist is I'm much more interested in using technology to think about the impact of technology. And this is really important, perhaps more now than ever. We need to really understand the impact and the changes that technology is having in our lives. We need to process it. We need to digest it. We need to really understand if we're moving forward in the right direction or not. Art, for me, as I understand art, is fundamentally a platform, a medium to think, to reflect, to process. A world that doesn't process and think is a world that basically will either reach dead ends or will end up doing very dangerous things with these technologies. For me, art is part of the humanistic tradition that will bring back technologies to human beings, that will introduce all the complexities of the human experience, including critical thinking, including irony, including, God forbid, sense of humor. I say this in particular thinking about AI. As an artist, I have my studio in Madrid and a second studio in Los Angeles, so in California I'm very exposed to Silicon Valley startup thinking about AI, and it is very product-oriented, it is very kind of mission, like, technological objectives to reach. There is so little thinking about the tremendous impact that AI is having and will have in our society. And I think that's what artists can provide. And I think it's really important that we do that work. That's our main job. Usually we think of art as something pretty that's placed on the walls of a gallery or on top of our, over our sofas in our living rooms. Art has a much more important mission. We are thinkers, we are creators of metaphors, we are facilitators that can mediate between the, with festivals like the one you're working on and you direct, mediators with the public. We are a threshold that allows us to perhaps think and talk about technology in ways that I'm not seeing in the commercial, shall we say, startup world. And I myself am kind of in the startup myself. I mean, it's funny to see here corporate, but I'm the director of a studio, and I work with engineers, and I work with architects, and I work with programmers, and I work with artists, and kind of like those early studios in Florence in the Renaissance, we're trying to do the same in our studios. We're trying to kind of bridge and bring back those two fields of art and technology that I find have been too separate, and has in fact created some damage, that separation.
I think that's very inspiring, and I think it gives a lot of room for thought. As we said, like technology and society have also always been hand in hand, and each one is nurturing and impacting, in both directions. I would like to. I think it's been interesting to really look at reality that seems monolithic from like so many different lenses, and I think you all represent like different lenses of an apparent, as I said, apparently similar thing. I would like just to have a final reflection on, digital advancements are not only enhancing artistic expression, but also making art more accessible and interactive than ever before. However, as we saw through the eyes of Daniel, probably that shouldn't prevent us from questioning, what is the ultimate purpose of art, what art is all in all. I also live, inspired and because I feel that definitely what art is offering us is a myriad of opportunities. I believe art always is about what's possible, what's next, what our creativity can take us. And I think definitely for the entrepreneurial world and the startup world, there are ahead of us, they're unfolding like a myriad of opportunities to do many different things that maybe before the art world did not offer, or the art industry as we understood it, it seemed, not to offer it. And I think those opportunities are now out there. And I think we're seeing this very clearly. When we think not only about art, but more about the creative industries in a broader perspective, and I think that's wonderful, and this is something that more people are now looking into. So I would like to thank you very much to our panel. It's been we're very lucky to have you here today. And thank you also for taking the time of being here, listening to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Catalina.